Wanna move my feet, wanna drink my wine. Wanna move my feet, wanna drink my wine. Wanna move my feet, wanna drink my wine. Wanna move my feet, wanna drink my wine.
Good afternoon everyone, welcome to another update on Tenerife. There's been loads going on the last few days, loads of different conflicting stories, different news articles, so I'm going to bring you the news as best as I can. I've been reading quite a lot today, different articles from different places, so I'm going to give you my interpretation of it, of the news. It's Friday the 11th today, so I'm going to give you the most up-to-date information I can from today. So we'll start with the thing that everyone was messaging me about, which happened, this is the earlier news, was that Brits were going to be banned from travelling to Spain. We'll be getting to the Canaries after the 1st of January. The UK is going to be banned from travelling in Europe. Basically, that was a lot of clickbait from one newspaper article that everyone then decided to run with. We're already treated as outsiders anyway. Britain has technically left the EU. It's a transition period, but we're already treated as outsiders. So when it comes to travel with the COVID restrictions, we're already in that bracket. You can still come to Spain. The only thing they've imposed is that PCR, or now antigen test, to get in. So it's going to be no different now, 1st of January. It may change once the virus changes, but it was just a bit of a story for them to run, basically, for you to grab a newspaper, because we're already treated as outsiders. We've already technically left. It is a transition period, but we'll be treated the same anyway. You've got to have that test to get in. So Janet Anscombe actually did a really good little article on this. I'll leave the links in the description, obviously. I'm just going to read a section of it here. Of course, it is possible that British nationals will be stopped from entering Spain or other EU countries from the 1st of January, but if they are, it won't be because of Brexit. That has already happened, and despite the transition period, we are already treated as outsiders for COVID travel restriction purposes. Yet people still enter Spain. That's because the sovereign states that make up the EU can impose restrictions or requirements on high-risk countries, which at the moment the UK is a high-risk country. So that is what they've done. They've imposed that restriction, which is the PCR or the antigen test. Without it, Spain bans entry. So that's basically it. Nothing to panic or worry about at all. That's pretty simply there. I will leave that link in the description. So that was part one. That's what a lot of people were asking me about. Traveling in January, they had holidays booked and things. It's going to be no different. There's no way that Spain or Tenerife is going to turn away British tourists. We need them right now badly, so not going to really affect it at all. Okay, so thirdly, the curfew here and the extra restrictions on Tenerife have been extended for another week. They will then be reviewed again in a week's time, possibly to be made even stricter, as our rates do keep going up in terms of deaths. People contracting it has gone up, so they have extended that for another week. I'm just going to read a few bits here, again from the Janet Anscombe website, a few of the basics that you should know. So Tenerife is under curfew between 11 PM and 6 AM. So between those times you're not allowed out unless it's an emergency or you need to go to the hospital, things like that. The public may not be outdoors within these times except for essential activities. Face masks must be worn by everyone of 6 years of age and above. So 6 and under, they don't have to wear a mask, but anyone above that has to wear them at all times. Whether you're walking along the promenade or you're out and about, you will need to have one. The only time you can take them off is if you're eating, drinking, swimming, and the exception of sunbathing when you're sat on the bed on the beach. Groups of all kinds for all purposes are limited to 4 people or more or less. That's from the 5th of December for 2 weeks. So maximum of 4 people in the groups. Smoking is banned outside bars and restaurants. You have to go to the street side or well away. And for Tenerife, it's recommended to keep a distance of 2 meters rather than the 1.5. If you can keep 2 meters or more, is even better. Catering establishments such as bars, restaurants must close at 11, obviously to tie in with that curfew as well, so they must be closed, everyone off the premises by 11. So if you are spotted without a mask or you're not complying with the rules, the police can fine you, so do be careful of that. Keep your mask with you, keep it on unless you really have to take it off, and just stick to the rules and you'll be absolutely fine. The police are going to be on it, especially now our levels are rising and the initial curfew has not really worked, so they will continue with that. Okay, and now fourth and finally, the other big news which has shook the island. It's not the best news, it's not what we hoped for, but it is what it is. We cannot change it, we just have to go with it, unfortunately. And that is that the UK has removed the Canary Islands from its travel corridor and advises against all but essential travel to the islands and to the rest of Spain. So we're off the list, it's essential travel only. This again invalidates most insurance policies, your travel holiday insurance, and voids the Canarian government's underwritten AXA COVID insurance policy, and requires anyone returning to the UK to quarantine for 2 weeks. So if you're here at the moment and you're going back after Saturday at 4 AM, you will have to quarantine for the 2 weeks. So here today on the Friday, we've had a lot of people leaving early, a lot of people flying back to avoid that quarantine. Now there is some slight good news with that, is that they have introduced, after 5 days of quarantine, you can pay for a private test, and if you test negative, then you can stop quarantining. So technically, fingers crossed, you should only have to quarantine for 5 days if you then go and pay for that private test, which can wipe a big chunk of that off. But then obviously if you do test negative, you're going to have to do the full 2 weeks. So that does mean obviously the likes of Jet2, TUI and some of the other airlines will be cancelling flights and holidays. It is going to cause a bit of disruption. If the flights are still coming, you can still come here, but obviously it is meant to be for essential travel, and obviously you won't have the insurance. But a lot of people, by the looks of it, are still planning on coming out. I've not really received many cancellations for the cars, so it does look like people are still going to be travelling out here, and it does look like Ryanair are definitely going to still keep flying as well. Obviously there are the other airlines as well, but it does look like Ryanair are going to continue on, possibly EasyJet as well. So that is basically it. That's as far as I understand it. Obviously I'm going to leave all the links in the description so you can read through it for yourself, and that's how I see it. You can go ahead and read all that yourself as well. I'll leave the links in the description. I try and put it simply for people. A lot of people enjoy these videos because it is explained quite easy, because some of the reports are really big, really wordy. The other thing just to mention as well, children under 6 are exempt from needing a test if you're travelling over. So if you've got kids under 6, they don't need a PCR or an antigen test. So that is basically it. Antigen test is passed. The curfew here has been extended. We could have further restrictions placed on us, so keep an eye on that news as well, because it's not really working. They may reduce the hours for the curfew or imply some other restrictions. Obviously EU has taken us off, the UK has taken us off the safe to travel list, and that's basically it for now. Got to try and stay positive. A lot of people are getting really stressed out about it, but there's nothing we can do. It can't change anything. Just stay positive, do what you can, and hopefully the rates here will drop and we can get back on to that safe fly list, and maybe even in time for Christmas, who knows. So if you did enjoy it, hit the subscribe button, because I'm going to do a weekly update where I can on these articles and try and explain it a bit better. So hit the subscribe if you enjoyed it and you want more Tenerife news. Hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down, and do drop a comment. I know some of you drop comments with up-to-date information, which is very helpful. Do keep an eye on the news because it changes daily, so keep an eye on those articles, the Canarian Weekly, Janet Anscombe. even Tim's channel, Living with MS in Tenerife, he does a lot of information as well. I just do a quick weekly one, a little weekly roundup for you all. I hope you do enjoy them, and I hope it does make sense. Okay, I'm going to finish enjoying these views, finish walking the dog, and I'll see you all next week. Stride on.